waiting to go live, ladies and gents. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Proclamation News and Gatherence. It's Sunday, Holy Sunday. I just want to say thank you all for coming through. Count your blessings. Be blessed that we've made it through to Sunday. Every day I we wake up with compassion. Everyone thrives off in humanity throughout compassion. Supporting our loved ones, our elderly ones, our young sick ones as well. Whatever you do in life, if you're in the army, NHS, doctor, any civil servant, you're feeding people in a restaurant perhaps. You're working through compassion. You're feeding, you're supporting the democracy in some shape or form. Even my way representing, I'm working on compassion because I'm doing journalism, talking about people lost lives, race, culture, politic based, law divide, laws multiply. Anything in journalism is also, it's compassion because I'm giving people news which lies upon compassion. Like we had Black Lives Matter. We also had the have several approaches how we actually lost lives. That young lad that was shot by the 25-year-old yesterday. 5-year-old got shot in outside his mum's house yesterday. 5 years of age. Um, on it, I've tried to do a petition, obviously tackling anexphobia and also sexualities are big subjects, really touchy subjects. We tackle, and you can upset the audience and lose a few friends, unfortunately. But obviously, I try to tackle anexphobia, which is culture, race. Um, as I've got a lot of different ethnicities in my family trait and my belief, and I love the humanities all worldwide, believe it or not. And people might look at me and think, oh, he's a Karamak kid. Whose side of the fence you sit on? I ain't sit on no one's. I see good and good and bad in all different race and culture. If you bring success to the table, it doesn't matter where you're from, how you talk. Even if you can't speak English, as long as you bring good stuff to the table, you can be a magnificent builder, but not speak a word of English. I can't speak any other language apart from English, so I take my hats off to these other foreign countries where they can speak 3 or 4 different languages. I've got a Romanian friend, and he can speak about 4 different languages. Very quite a bilingual tongue. Very very intelligent people. Some of these people that can pick up these languages so good. Anyway, as we move on today's formation, I just want to say thank you all for actually coming in listening today. And it's a holy Sunday. Every Sunday is a bit of a blessing for me, because I used to attend church quite frequently. As the lockdown is easing out, we might be back in church in September perhaps, or maybe some people were saying January. Who knows? But I know the beauty parlours and everything else is open up after this weekend. So that's some other good news that I've been reading throughout the days beyond and days ahead as we come out of lockdown measures. I did hear pubs might be shutting down in September to reopen schools. I don't know how true that's going to be, and who knows. But anyway, this lip read on UK politics. If you can share and help me multiply my audience, I'd really appreciate it also, and subscribe. The Eat Out scheme. The Eat Out scheme in UK politics today. Front bench politics always, guys. So appreciate I'm giving you updated news daily. Eat Out scheme causing hostility towards staff. Some restaurants and pubs are withdrawing from the Eat Out to Help Out scheme because of hospitality towards staff. Under the scheme of the government pays half of the bill on meals served from Monday to Wednesday throughout August. Owner says a surge in demand on these days has led to staff being shouted at and physical and mental stress. Owner says a surge in demand on these days has led to staff being shouted at and physical and mental stress. In tourist, heavy areas like Southwest may say the scheme is not helping and at already busy time of the year. Some say fewer customers are dining on other weekdays as a result. The Treasury said this scheme is working. UK Hospitality, which represents the industry, said generally the feedback has been very positive for business, who were starring ruining in the face. However, the Tavern Inn in Newquay is one venue that has pulled out of the discount scheme, which is capped at £10 per dinner and does not include alcoholic drinks. Owen Kelly Hill said, "It has brought us nothing but negativity due to the huge demand, causing long waits of food, tables overrunning, and hostility towards our staff. People are ordering big, big meals. They're not willing to wait for their food. Our staff are being shouted at for having no tables or for the service being slow. It's put an awful lot of strain on our waiting staff and the kitchen." The Heaven Inn in Truro has also opted out, saying on Facebook, "Safety is our main priority, and with increased amount of people visiting us, it is making it difficult for us to manage with social distancing rules in place. We have received unpleasant comments and general unwelcome behaviour from customers when unable to find a table due to us having reached the capacity. The Wesley Inn near Bideford in Devon has also withdrawn because of his physical and mental stress it has put us up and our staff under." Landlady Steph Dyer said that the idea is brilliant, but just not in August. Do it in October. Everybody I've spoken to is finding it difficult to maintain standards of service. In Crantock near Newquay, the Sea Bay Bistro says the scheme has led to a loss of business because people are not booking for days when it is not running. Owen Nina Isles said, "In July we're full every day, but nowadays to Wednesdays are absolutely manic, and we are much quieter than normal on other days. If it is winter, we should be so grateful and would have been amazing." The Treasury said the scheme was designed to protect jobs. Sales for pubs restaurants were up by a third for the first week of the scheme compared to the week before, it said. You can imagine, can't you, working in the restaurants, you got coronavirus still floating about, and you have to work with more people on Monday to Wednesday. It must be quite, must be quite nerve wracking working amongst people that could be carrying coronavirus. How you doing there, Pascal Winter? Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you all. Everyone listening in, taking it on board. I've got my YouTube channel on Proclamation News and Gatherence, and Castbox as well. Appreciate everyone coming through. Demi Rose in the showbiz today. I just want to mix it up a little bit, get different public interests. Because not everyone is, which they should be, interested in what's going on in politics because it relates to our lives, as you can see. People working in restaurants, we've got people in schools, our children, our loved ones. We've got traffic jams. We've got people driving on sleep deprivation, narcotic abuse. It relates to all of us because if you're in an accident one day, it's going to relate to you. So you all need to take our children, our grown up ones. They're the ones it affects most. They're grown up. They're going for their livelihood, thinking, "Oh, I had a drink the night before. I'll get in my car at 6 a.m. in the morning to go to work." They're the ones causing accidents on the A12s, on the M25s, and all our major roads when our granddads and aunties and uncles and your nieces and nephews are on the roads. They're losing, love lives, costing lives at the cost of a night out with their friends. Erupt from swimsuit. Thank you, Pascal Winner. Erupts from swimsuit. Demi Rose Morby showed off her social media influencer. Demi Rose certainly knows how to command attention. The 25-year-old did just that as she took her Instagram platform with yet another scorching snap from her Ibiza's adventure. Wearing very little, she unleashed her jaw-dropping physique while striking up a number of sexy poses. Something, different sort of getting different interests, trying to bring in different, people looking at elegant. Maybe she's a fashion icon. Maybe she's a fashion icon to the people and reading the media to the, and you want to check her out on size proportions impeccably, putting her pert dairy up front and centre certainly seemed to fire up her adoring fans. Business of her age. Showing her modern skills, she uploaded a trio of sizzling images that magnified her famous booty against a picturesque sunset. She's an absolute franchise to social media. The brunette bombshell set her fans wild with the scanty clad picture. Demi Rose, it is Demi Rose, ladies and gents. In one gorgeous snap, the Brummy bombshell can be seen staring straight into camera as her arms caress her hips. Working her magic, she smouldered in another image while she glanced off into the distance of the scenic horizon. You see how the writer in the media words her description. Working her magic, she smouldered in another image while she glanced into the distance of the scenic horizon. Like with how they're saying amazing cur- curvy sculpture is in the distance of a scenic horizon, saying she's just as elegant as the beautiful scenic horizon. Capturing an array of racing images, she told fans. The song of Atlantis, sunsets are my favourite part of the day. So, a beautiful lady in a beautiful sunset. That is how it's described in me. The post proved to be a huge hit, receiving over 193,000 likes on the digital platform. It was long before thousands of fans swooned in the comments section, charming their praise. Dang, you got dump truck, followed by the eye popping emoji. A third said, you're the most beautiful Instagram, while a fourth could barely believe what they are witnessing, adding, goodness gracious me, what a siren. So the way it's very eloquent, isn't it? Talking about equality, it's eloquent how they're talking about the woman franchise. That is, that's why I like reading different media topics on my YouTube and my Castbox. It gets people, feeling emotive about themselves, the way they might want to bring themselves to success in their business or success in their sport industry or whatever they do in life. You want to be success. You want to be like, and not, you want to idolize someone, don't you? You want to idolize someone to possibly bet yourself. Anyway, let's go on. I want to talk about Labour again because I don't want people to think I'm fully biased for Conservative. Sir Keir Starmer ain't a bad bloke. I'm not for Labour, but Sir Keir Starmer ain't a bad bloke. He's got some interesting facts to talk about. He's not totally docile. He ain't a bad bloke. A levels, Labour call for government U-turn over exams fiasco. I think he's a bit more in control of Labour Party than Jeremy Corbyn, and in control of his thoughts. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn was obviously he's old, getting a bit old age. He's probably senile, getting a bit senile. His brain's not functioning as good as it used to. He's made a few mistakes in Parliament, and I've notified him. Talk about banning fox hunting on Christmas Day. I mean, banning fox hunting. Yeah, I understand if you like animals, you will. He's a vegetarian, so he's going to want to ban fox hunting. I appreciate that. But on Christmas Day, when everyone in the world is eating meat, I thought it was a bit ironic to come out of banning fox hunting on Christmas Day of all days. Anyway, Labour has called on ministers to act immediately to sort out an exams fiasco in England and thousands of A-level students being betrayed. It was an unacceptable that a flawed system had led to 280,000 pupils having their marks downgraded. Sir Keir Starmer said ministers must follow the lead of Scotland and allow teacher-assessed marks to be accepted. Ministers says the risks of grade inflation and disadvantaged pupils have not been disproportionately affected, but some Tory MPs have challenged the fairness of how grades have been decided. Schools in North East, representing over 1,100 schools in the North East England, also backed the use of teachers' predictions. Bear with me, Castbox for a second. I just lost connection there. I'm just coming back. But they said it was not possible. There needed to be much more rapid and transparent ways for schools to appeal, saying that using mock grades and relying on autumn exams was inadequate. Hi, Sean. In London, a group of protesters gathered outside 10 Downing Street to express their anger at the results while petitions calling for more weight to be given into teacher assessments gained tens of thousands of signatures. Another exams were cancelled due to the pandemic. Grades were awarded using a controversial modelling system, with key factors being ranked order to pupils and the previous exam results of schools and colleges. Are your children in school, Sean? I mean, I don't think your kids are quite young, aren't they? But are they still effective for going back to school? They produce more top grades than ever have been seen before in A levels, with almost 28% getting A stars and A's. but teachers have been angry about their unfathomable individual injustice in the downgrading of some results. In England, 36% of centres had grades lower than their teachers predicted, and 3% were down to two grades. I only have one, but he hasn't been to school since March. Oh, blimey! Yes, how you doing there, Adam? Just doing my journalism, buddy. I'll be with you just shortly. There are now calls to switch away from this system and use teachers' predictions in a way that the government have U-turned in Scotland. Every parent is suffering with their children because it must be hard as a parent trying to keep you up hold of your house, keep you up hold of your bills, and you've got to be a school teacher as well, all at the same time, as well as be the full-time mother 24 hours a day, as well as being a teacher. It's almost impossible, isn't it? But England exam watchdog Ofqual have warned that using teachers' predictions would have artificially inflated results and would have seen about 38% of entries getting A stars and A's. Yeah, I can imagine it must be really hard for you, Sean. I really appreciate mothers and fathers in this lockdown measure when their kids can't go back to school. Injustice, Labour said lack of constituency in individual results was heartbreaking for those affected. The government was squarely to blame for sticking with a fatality flawed result system. Across the last 24 hours of the scale of the injustice has become clear, said Sir Keir Starmer. I do prefer Keir Starmer to Jeremy Corbyn. I'm not a Labour fan, but I don't know. He has got his head screwed on. He knows what he's talking about. He's always, he's got a lot of interest in the media just recently. Young people and parents right across the country, in every town and city, feel let down and betrayed. He would never have a chance against Boris Johnson. He does try to. I mean, they have to play each other down. It's all part of a pantomime inside the Commons, as you know. They have to try and uplift their party's blueprint. They have to uplift their party's blueprint by selling themselves, by putting each other down, and it's unfortunate the way they do it. I mean, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister, should you really be sitting there trying to put the fella in the know down that's been in the business for decades? Been in the business for absolute decades, ever since I was born, 1983. He's always been in the media. He was he's been he's a journalist just like myself when he first started out. An unprecedented and chaotic circumstances created by the UK government's mishandling of education during recent months mean that the return of teacher assessments is now the best option available, said the Labour leader. No young person should be a detriment due to the government incompetence. Labour's education spokeswoman Kate Green also called for appeals to be able to be made by individual students, not only through schools. The Equalities and Human Rights Commissions have urged the exams regulator Ofqual to consider equality impacts of their actions and mitigate against any potential negative effect of disadvantaged and minority groups. EHRC Chief Executive Rebecca Hills Hilsenrath called on the watchdog to publish a full breakdown of the differences between teacher-assessed grades and the final grade. Students who have been downgraded must be able to appeal directly if they believe their grades are unfair, she said. Private schools in England see biggest rise in top A-level grades. Percentage increase in grades A and above compared with 2019. Figures from Equal showed independent schools of disproportionately benefited from the rise in top grades, up by 5% of percentage points, compared to 2 percentage points for comprehensive at 0.3 percentage points for further education colleges. The chairman of Education Select Committee, Tory MP Robert Halfon, urged Ofcom to explain properly how the model has worked and whether it has been fair. Mr. Haffon also said exam appeals should be no cost to students. Writing on his website, the former Children Minister Tim Loughton said the results had been extraordinarily distressing from some students and urged ministers to look down to the algorithm again for those who have missed out on their place in the further education. Another Tory MP, Robert Sims, asked the government to go and teach a recommendation arguing that grade inflation would be no less unfair than failing students who did not have the chance to take exams. And Conservative peer Lord Porter of Spalding called the of the process for awarding grades shambolic and said it may be a shame to be a better member of the party. Lord Porter also criticised fees for appeals, which can be more than £100 for an unacceptable appeal. Students not deferring. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has defended that he has said a robust set of grades and said that pupils who believed were treated unfairly would be able to appeal or, if they wanted, to sit exams in the autumn. Schools can appeal for an upgrade if their pupils mock grades where they are higher than their estimated results, but exam regulator Ofqual has still to say how much mock results can be validated, and head teachers have warned that mocks are not standardised or have taken by all pupils and could not be used as a fair way of deciding final exam results. Speaking on BBC Breakfast, Transport Minister Grant Shapps rejected suggestions. This year's exam system has been tough on students from poorer backgrounds. More students from disadvantaged backgrounds are going to university, and overall, we get more accepted university than previously as well, says Mr. Shapps. The latest figures from the UCAS admissions and service do not show significant increase in students deferring for a year. There will still be places to be decided through clearing, but so far almost 430 places have been accepted. Let me just stop right there with the education. I mean, I was born a human activist. I was very active as a kid. I was up on my toes, you know, before any child in this world could walk. I was probably up and trying up get on up on my toes since the day I was born. I was really like an activist. I really was really into football from a young age. From the day I could walk, I was playing football. From the day I could walk, I was very active. I liked boxing. I liked all them really active activities. And I've done sport all my life, and I lost a bit of my education out from my mature years. I've always done higher education. I missed out on my GCSEs because I was in every single sport team, physical team you can think of: hockey, football, basketball, anything athletics. 800 meters, 400 meters, 100 meters. I was doing it in the relay team. I've done a 1500. I've done shot put. I was doing long jump. I was in hockey team, rugby team, football team, but any sport you can think of. I was so busy being an activist, I missed out on my GCSEs. But luckily, I was still um, fundamentally challenged. I liked reading when I could, but I had obviously a lot of lack of energy in my brain because I've wasted it all on being an activist. But my later years, my body slowed down a little bit, and I've gained a further education. I got my sports science in gym industry and nutrition as well. And then I've done my ICT um, as I left school, and then I've done a further ICT just recently. These are all like GCSEs, higher education. Always using my optimism. Now I'm in university at my grand age of 36. I'm coming to 37. So I'm now in university. So it's never too late to get your education. I mean, if you're listening in and you're older folk and you feel like you want to get a bit more academics behind you, don't feel afraid of entering university. You're never too late. You're never too old. And you know what? Everyone's got wisdom, and it's just how you use it. People say, you've got a few disadvantages. Um, people people can't spell, but you learn as you go along. Take small courses, move mountains, build a better prosperity. Be prosperous, running prosperity matters. Believe that you can achieve it. You got to believe it to achieve it. Anyway, coronavirus. Thousands returned to UK to beat France quarantine. Nearly halfway for the show, guys. I'm really enjoying it this morning. And thank you. Sundays very always moves me. I like Sundays. It's motivational Sunday. I usually do motivational Mondays. A motivational Sunday today. Thousands of holidaymakers have rushed back to the UK in a bid to avoid quarantine measures imposed on France, which came into force on Saturday. The 14-day isolation requirement for 04 BST also applied to people arriving from the Netherlands, Monaco, Malta, Turks, and Caicos and Aruba. Eurotunnel trains sold out on Friday and air travellers faced steep prices, but some ferries increased capacity. France warned it should be a reciprocal measures. The Netherlands warned against all essential travel to the UK. Once the restrictions came into force on Saturday, but it is said it will not introduce reciprocal measures. The countries were targeted for quarantine restrictions because their infection rates were exceeded 220 cases per 100,000 people. Over 7 days, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said he told BBC Breakfast on Friday that there were about 160,000 British holidaymakers in France and said that the last thing we want to do is to have people returning and bringing the infection with them. The deadline left many travellers in a frantic rush on the plane, train and ferry tickets costing hundreds of pounds. Tom Duffnell, who runs a small business, cut short his holiday to Nice. With his wife and two children, by 4 days she booked a last-minute flight home. We were enjoying a nice cocktail last night and suddenly news flash pops in and scramble to book flights, he said on Friday. We've had to spend about £800 because we can't afford to take another 2 weeks off work. He added that social distancing had gone out the window. In the scramble for transport, with huge queues at the airport, Stephanie Farage, who returned to Kent from France, criticised the manic way to quarantine and imposed, and said the risky move had created a huge amount of people coming at the same time. Eurotunnel said 12,000 people tried to book tickets at the Channel Tunnel trains in the hour after new rules were announced, about 22 BST on Thursday, compared with just hundreds normally. It increased its capacity on Friday, but trains sold out, and the company warned people not to travel its terminal without a confirmed booking. The shuttle services were running between 90 minutes and 2 hours late from the Calais by Friday evening. Eurotunnel spokesman John Keefe told BBC Traffic at the terminal of Calais was running smoothly all day. There was no there was there were no huge queues. Many people seemed decided to stay in France, he said. Prices of some flights to the UK from Paris were among more than £450 compared to £66 on Saturday. Many direct flights from the south of France were sold out. The cheapest Eurostar tickets were £210 compared with 165 on Saturday. One couple, Stuart and Anne Bunting, spent nearly £1,000 to make it back to the Midlands via Eurostar from Burgundy, central France. P&O Ferries told BBC it was increasing capacity on the Spirit class ships. About DFDS ferries, said it had been added an extra for departure from Calais to help Britain's return in time. Lose-lose situation in Amsterdam by Anne Hooligan. BBC News foreign correspondent. There is no visible sense of pandemic inside Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam, as a final call before quarantine approaches. Passengers bobbed up the escalators towards the check-in desk, no faster than usual. I saw no queues of people pleading to be sold out an empty seat. Connor Wells and his friends said they were conscious of the rising infection rates in Amsterdam before they set out of, but they were staying in for a couple of nights. They thought they'd make it back before anything changed. We didn't think they'd give us a day of notice to get out. It came up in so fast. Martin Walters shakes his head as he scans the departures board. Heading home 24 hours early has cost more than an entire holiday. They couldn't afford to stay on the skin 14 days of work upon return. At least we got a seat. Eva Povey rolls her eyes. It's a lose-lose situation. We're packing frantically. Scott and Tracy Cuthbert from Oxfordshire said cutting their holiday in France, short by 6 days, was an easy decision to make because they need to work. The couples and their daughter Millie, 16, began frantically panicking after they heard news of the rule changes. The family booked themselves on a ferry for Friday afternoon, only to realise they wouldn't make it to the port time. So it booked another ferry, due to leave Calais at 20:30 BST. We were driving up now, and Satnavs says we're about an hour leeway. Scott said from the car. On Friday, reported 2,846 new coronavirus cases in 24 hours, the highest number since lockdown restrictions were eased. The 7-day average increased to 2,041, making the first time it surpassed 2,000 since 20 April. 2 seconds ago, I'll be with you. Clementine Benas, France Secretary of State European Affairs, tweeted that the UK's decision was a matter of regret from the French, but was hoping for a return as normal as possible. The travel industry, already damaged by the pandemic, also criticised the move. Gloria Guevara, president of the World Travel and Tourism Council, said the UK was lagging behind other countries that has shunned quarantines in favour of comprehensive testing programs for everyone departing and arriving back into the respective countries. The UK ambassador to France, Lord Lewin, acknowledged that the new quarantine rule would be unwelcome news for Britons in the country, but stressed that the people could continue with their holidays as long as the fellow safety precautions and self-isolated in return. Shadow Home Secretary Thomas Simmons said while the Labour Party supports evidence-based measures at the border, it was vital that Number 10 had a joined up strategy and urgently put in place a specific deal to support the heavily impacted travel sector. He added that the government has still not put in place an effective track, trace and isolate systems has made matters far worse and made it more likely that we were reliant on the blunt tool for the 14-day quarantine. According to the data company Statista, people from the UK paid 10.35 million visits to France last year, putting in second behind Spain with 18.12 million in terms of popularity. The Foreign Office is now warning against all but essential travel to France. The quarantine measures imposed for Spain on 25th July. A list of more than 50 so-called travel corridors allowing the government between UK and other countries without the need to self-isolate or return was published at the start of last month and later expanded, but ending of some of the exemptions of the list follows a significant change in the risk of contracting COVID-19, the Department for Transport said. It added that there has been a 66% increase in newly reported cases per 100,000 people in France since last Friday. For the Netherlands, it was up to 52%, an increase for Malta was 105%, while there was 273% for Turks and Caicos of 1,106 for Aruba. Can't be complacent. Ahead of government meeting the new measures, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson promised to be absolutely ruthless in deciding on rules for holidaymakers from abroad. We can't be remotely complacent about our own situation, he added. According to the Home Office, a total of nine fines have been introduced at the border since quarantine reactions were introduced on June the 9th. Under the rules, people do not self-isolate can be fined of up to 1,000 in England. Wales and Northern Ireland are at around 480 in Scotland. There will be fines of up to 5,000 of persistent offenders. Meanwhile, the government has announced a maximum fine in people in England who repeatedly refuse to wear face masks covering double A to 3,200, while organisers of illegal raves could face £10,000 penalty. I mean, these people are setting up these raves and things. I mean, before even lockdown, setting up a rave is very dangerous. It's not policed. It's not a controlled environment. You got people who could be coming in with knives. We're asking for sporadic knife crimes, sporadic deaths. You know, people are overindulging of alcohol because there's no one at a bar to say he's had enough to drink. No security guard to say he needs to get out, send him home, he's had too much to drink. These people are going to indulge themselves till they collapse. They're going to indulge themselves in narcotic abuse, indulge themselves in alcohol abuse. You know, they're finding themselves in, they might as well dig themselves a 6 foot hole and jump in it. It would be ludicrous if you attend a rave. These organisers of these raves are, I don't know, they're illegal parties. Shouldn't be doing it. I'd never appreciate my children attending any legal rave. As a youngster, growing up, I mean, we all do things growing up. It's not. I'm not going to sit here and make out I'm a, you know, a spring chicken. I was like a little rosebud that blossomed to be, you know, a rose, the old rosebud. Yeah, I wasn't this beautiful rose, just a rosebud that didn't have a life. I did have a life of purgatory as well. We all do. I mean, I probably did attend one, but I was very, very reluctant to what I did growing up. Very skeptical because my parents made me realise the good the do's and don'ts. I mean, they probably had the life where they tried a few things. We all do, but we try and paint a good picture for leave a good legacy for our children to follow. But rave is a big, big no-no. And anyone listening and you got children growing up, please, please, please share the good news with the people. Really, they need to not attend raves at all costs. Overindulging legal substance, I call alcohol legal substance because your chemical imbalance is not on a wavelength that you can understand. That you're betraying your personality having a drink. As soon as you take that indulgence of alcohol, you're betraying your personality. But from Sunday, indoor theatre, music and performance venues will be able to reopen with social distance ordinances. Casinos, alleys, skating rinks and soft play centres will also be allowed to resume, as will close contact beauty services such as facials, eyebrow, threading and eyelashes treatments. I mean, that is something good for the democracy. What women are wanting to hear. Beauty salons. It's got one last bit of St Pierre's Pierre Hunt for teenagers missing in sea. So a bit more tragic, guys. A bit of tragic every day lately, aren't we? St Anne's Pier Hunt for teenagers missing in sea. Rescuers are searching for two teenagers who were last seen in the sea near Lytham St Anne's in Lancashire. The Coast Guard, RNLI, the Coast Guards. The police were called reports of three youths in difficulty in the water near St Anne's Pier just before 19 BST on Saturday. A boy aged 15 managed to swim ashore and has received treatment for suspected hypothermia. But a 16-year-old boy and a man at 18, both thought to be of Dewsbury in West Yorkshire, are still missing. Lancashire Police tweet HM Coast Guard and the RNLI are leading search to find them. Absolute tragic, tragic, tragic news. I'm gonna just come across something a bit significant, a bit more of a wider broad. I'm gonna broaden my attraction on Proclamation News and Gatherence. Drop shipping, the hustlers making millions from goods they never handle. I don't believe money is the route to happiness. It's a route to living a luxury life, isn't it? Obviously. Gabri Beltran moved from Uruguay to Miami with the dream of making it big as a drummer. 5 years ago, he was struggling to pay his rent and living on his girlfriend's student loan. Then he made over 20 million, 15 million through a little known online retail technique, drop shipping. It's 20 million dollars, but 20 million pounds just as good. It's big money. Bit more money I've got in my pocket, put it that way, a lot more. And in bedrooms around the world, other savvy individuals are getting rich the same way. The sellers never see their products. They typically remain completely anonymous, and their marketing reaches hundreds of millions of people. Chinese goods. The process is simple. The shipper goes to an online Chinese marketplace and then identifies a cheap product. The seller sets up a flashy website suggesting the product is made in US or Europe and adds a huge markup. The dropshipper uses social media for promotion, often paying influence to add legitimacy. When an order is received, the seller collects the customer's money, and only then do they buy the product. Finally, the product is shipped directly to the customer from China. In practice, the vendors act as virtual middlemen or women. All this is legal and often done well, but the automaticity of it converse means there is also abuse. The sale of counterfeit products and commonplace, and customers often do not receive their orders. It happens to me many times. Gabriel started off selling fake NFL products and made 50,000 in just 1 month. He says he just sold knockoff products since. Stores come and go. They are literally steal money from people, he told BBC. Those stores make millions of dollars within a month, then disappear and don't even ship a product. Sometimes the good are actual counterfeits, but they still infringe the intellectual property rights of the tech firms whose designs have, in effect, been cloned. Even though the product is sold under a different brand and uses its own packaging. Kevin David is a drop shipper who doesn't engage in sale of such goods, but he says some of his friends have made hundreds of thousands of months selling knockoff AirPods. It's very easy to make moral high ground, but if a lot of people have had the skill set and were making tens of thousands of dollars profit a day, then they would probably think pretty differently, he says. I mean, let's be realistic. If you look into these Chinese websites where they do the wholesales of goods, you know, fundamentally, really, it's not going to be real goods. Let's be serious. They're doing knockoff goods at group bulk buying, cheap products. It's not going to be real. I mean, they've got markets where they sell knockoff products. You're not going to get home and go, oh yeah, this is fake. I didn't realise I paid £5 for a Ralph Lauren shirt. Let's be realistic. They're knocking off all the middlemen, like the taxmen, all the shop prices. Ralph Lauren shop, you go and buy a Ralph Lauren t-shirt. You're talking like £70. You go on these Chinese website and you think you're going to get a real t-shirt for £5, £10. Let's be realistic. Why is this man even trying to influence others not to go and buy off a Chinese website? If you can get it for £5 rather than pay £70, well, the person paying £5, £10 for the Ralph Lauren shirt is more clever than the bloke paying £70, £80 in a top Ralph Lauren store. Although I am an idiot because I do that sort of thing myself. I will go in Selfridges and buy myself a suit and a shirt. I have done over the years. Anyway, let's moving on. I'm nearly finished with my journalism. Hi Sam, I'll be with you for 5 minutes. Hi Single Pringle, lovely to see you. Fake products dropping is not new, but the rise of social media celebrates has supercharged the model. Sellers previously marketed their products via eBay and on Facebook adverts, but the booming influencer marketing has been giving them access to many more credulous customers. Sarah Merck Barker worked for the drop shipping operation Magnetic SL, which sells products that feature its own brand. She told BBC Click that it paid Kourtney Kardashian, who has close to 100 million Instagram followers, $170,000 to promote fake eyelashes and other beauty products, and then made the investment back many times over. Influencer marketing is nowadays enough to create the image of a strong and influential brand, she explained. People think they have been to an internationally renowned brand to engage influence of the Kourtney Kardashian, but that's completely false. Influencers care about the quality of product they promote are rare, or even non-existent. Magnetic SL has attracted more than 100,000 complaints online. They include stories of product not being delivered or taking months to arrive. However, there's an equal number of growing reviews. Sarah told BBC Click at a dropshippers she worked for flooded Trustpilot, a major customer review website with bogus posts. Almost 7% of their total customers wrote a one-star reviews. So basically, they just bought fake reviews to counteract them and created a fake accounts in order to make fake reviews. Glenn Manoff, Trustpilot's chief communication officer, says it is aware of Magnetic SL's practices and has been added as a warm banner to the firm's page. Customers can see what they have total transparency on the platform, and we see how many reviews are being flagged. Pandemic spending in influencer marketing is just the preserve of the celebrities. Thousands of lesser known influencers have also become involved in dropship and paid promotions. The vast majority of sole traders can are the vast majority of sole traders can make a living with just 100,000 followers and relatively modest number. A mix of closed high street stores and people stuck in home during coronavirus lockdowns has been benefited the trade. Chara Payton, manager and influencer Sarah McDermott, told BBC that her email inbox is flooded with offers from dropshippers, asked her clients to promote what she believes to be knockoff goods. I think these companies play on the fact that influencer management companies don't always do their dull diligence, she says. Under such circumstances, it can be a case of a buyer beware. Anybody can source products online with a degree of anonymity, quickly sell as a whole bunch of dangerous counterfeit products, and the exit of the system, says Mike Andrews and UK National Trading Standards e-crimes team. Until recently, Natasha Schaefer and sold off knockoffs Apple products. Her customers often complained it didn't work. She since reimbursed every follower who got in touch. A lot of scammy companies, but honestly, I haven't experienced anything like this in pandemic, she says. Ladies and gents, I'm going to cut that off there. It's been a great cast this morning. Almost an hour long cast. Thank you all for coming in. HK, how you doing, buddy? I'm going to stay on this stream with you guys. I'm just going to lock off my radio casting, Castbox and YouTube. Thank you all. Appreciate listening in my YouTube, Castbox, coming daily, coming with the Flux News weekly, daily, monthly, yearly. We love it. Media studies since 1995. Take care. God bless. Holy Sunday. Yes, HK.